Hello, hello, hello. Welcome.
We finally did it. We are live.
I don't think anybody was on to see our intro, our freaking cool intro that I just made like right before this. So
Because
go
that's
back
how we
and
roll.
watch it.
Because that's how we roll. So, welcome to the breakdown. We are finally here and super excited.
Oh my God, it has taken us, I don't even know. It was like October when we had our official first meeting in person. But it was before that. It was months before that when we started talking about it.
Yeah, we've been talking for a long time. Probably even in the beginning of when you had the class for that, and then we started, talking a little bit.
I don't even know
Have
what
fun
class
with
you're
it.
talking about.
You're opening the Claire's class that you had.
Oh, God, that's old. That's some old stuff right there.
Well, since we didn't do quite an intro, I'm Tanya Lea, and we got Johanna Burkhardt here.
That's me.
This was supposed to be
breakdown. In case you're wondering where you are, this is where you are. You're watching the breakdown live.
and this was supposed to be at this point it was supposed to be episode 4, or as we called it, we were calling the first episode 111 because we don't like beginnings. We're terrible at beginnings, so we're like, let's just skip it and just say that we're 111.
Right.
But things didn't work out quite as planned, and that's what we wanted to first start off with, was this, because the whole point of the preference of the breakdown was to break shit down.
Mm-hmm.
We love anything that is bizarre, weird, that seems impossible. And since we are sponges and we just like to see what's out there, we would like to educate people on some of the stuff that is out there that might be weird or wonky, and
or just freaking talk about it.
or talk about it. So that's really where we came about. And most of the stuff that we've seen has been extremely dry. And we're like, no, we kind of want to have some sense of humor with it. So that's where we came about with this show. And when we had started this, we had this huge idea of like, we were going to do recordings, and we were going to have, Johanna was going to do some editing. I was going to take the editing from there. We were trying to get the song in place for the breakdown for Tom Petty. We couldn't use, obviously, Tom Petty, so we're looking through all that.
It's coming. Okay. It's going to happen. We will get licensed for the official. It will, because there's a bet on the line, and I'm going to get Tanya in a tutu, and that's the whole thing. So it will happen. Well, yay, we have some people on with us. Yay. I'm so excited about that.
You're so funny. Make sure you say hi, guys. We'll look at the comments. I don't even know if I can see the comments on here.
They just started piling in. Like it says no people, but then there's like all these comments. So I just think YouTube's weird. But you were talking about Tom Petty when I interrupted you. But the lives weren't working. The first one worked, and my mic wasn't on because I'm talented like that.
And you had mic issues, and then we did a recording.
Yep.
And
deleted it.
It disappeared.
Like
and
literally
our minds were thinking about like, okay, well, what's the next step? And then I said to her, I feel like we have to go live. And she goes, I feel this way too. And I thought, what are we doing? We're listening to our fear and our ego, who wants to have everything perfect. The two people who are pretty mindful and aware fell into the trap of fear, and a little bit of the ego in there. But we realized that we needed to do this live, that we were going to cut all this bullshit out.
Because let's be real, this is not like a business. We're going to talk about some shit, and some of it's going to blow your mind. And some of it is going to make you scratch your head, and some of it's just going to make you laugh. And we are just, we're going to talk about it all. And that's just what she said. We want to bring some humor to it, because let's be real. I'm a spiritual teacher. I can tell you, sometimes the shit gets heavy, and science, sometimes you're like, what? I don't understand. So we just want to have fun with it.
And see what comes about of it.
For real. And then today I almost didn't have Zoom to do the broadcast. It wasn't working. And literally 2 days of pulling my hair out thinking, what is going on? Like, they don't want us to do this. And then, so I surrendered and it just said, whatever. Obviously, the show's not going on today. It's not happening. And my class isn't being held, blah, blah, blah. My husband comes home and he's going to take full credit for this. He's going to say it was all because of his energy. And that's fine. He can take that if he wants, because, yeah, he's just standing over here and he's like, what? I don't understand. And I realized what had happened and I fixed it. And he's like, you're welcome. And walks away. And I was like, oh my God, like it was so simple. And the people at Zoom, I swear, I think I had a crowd around the person who was like helping me because they couldn't figure it out. They couldn't recreate it. They couldn't do anything. I'm like, I'm special like that.
And then after all that, I came back and I am in a temporary location right now. So I have very minimal amount of stuff. And as a photographer, I'm used to having all my gear with me, and not having very minimal stuff has been a little bit challenging. But I had my space, I had my light box, and then all of a sudden my light box just blew. It blew, like I couldn't, it just wasn't working. And I text Johanna, I'm like, what is going on? Like I just blew my, so now I have like this lamp rigged here. I'm like, man, I am going like old school here.
It's raw and real, people. Raw and real. I have probably a whole bottle of dry shampoo in my hair. Let's just be real.
As authentic as it's going to be.
It's going to be. So what we'd like from you guys as far as participation is we would love for you guys to come in and interact with us. So tell us, you can post your comments about what we're talking about. You can ask questions. You can give us suggestions on things you would like us to break down. All of that is welcome. And in the YouTube description, obviously, when this is over, there'll be more information on where you can send that, or you can just drop it in the comments below. And of course, we always encourage you to share our broadcast.
And make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit like up top, because that helps with the feeds.
Yeah.
I have to laugh too, because another fear-driven thing for me was sharing this radio show, because I did not want to put pressure on myself. I'm like, no, I don't want to share it publicly with my family or friends, because I just want to be able to do it. And I realized, again, I fell into a trap. I'm like, oh crap, I just fell into the trap. I'm not being open to just do it and let it go and let the fear hit me. And it was so funny because as soon as I did it, I hit share, and I was waiting to get some kind of like response or something, a reaction from somebody in his level of like, what's this about? I didn't get anything. And I was like, this is great. This feels, what was I worried about? I just literally for a month, I was telling Johanna, no, don't tag me. Don't do anything. I don't want it. Like,
I told Paul, I said, she's in the woo-woo closet. She doesn't want to come out. She doesn't want to tell anybody that she has an open mind.
I like to have an open mind. But when it's something that's new adventures, it's hard to, your mind, your ego wants to stop you and say, no, it's protection mode. And I would love to hear stories from others if they feel that way, or when those fear moments come up where, you feel like, no, I can't do that, or something else comes up, because I put so much, pressure on myself, even with the show. And I laugh at it now because you were ready to start the show way earlier than me.
Oh man, months ago, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah. You're like, let's do it. And I'm like, this isn't the right time because I'm moving. I have to move my stuff. I have to get in a situation. I have too much to do. But again, do I? Like you can still make time. You can do stuff. It's just a choice that I had made at that point. But you were very good about it. I mean, it wasn't anything that you were pushing me on there, because my limits. Yeah, there's nothing you can do. And then when I was ready and we were talking about it and all this little stuff that came up in between, I have to laugh at now. I was like, man, I really am really good at talking myself out of something. I mean, I can come up with any motherfucking excuse to not do something.
I think of it. I mean, come on, drop some kind of comment, something, if that's you too, because how many of us have done that? I know I used to do it, but here's my thing is I was ready to go live. I was ready to record. I was like, let's do it. I always think I have nothing to say. And as soon as you put me on front of a camera, I'm like, I could talk for days. Like just the most random shit will come out of my mouth. And so I'm like, let's do it. But the thing that was getting me is the control freak perfectionist. Now she hasn't all the way left yet. There's a little piece of her still in me.
Yeah,
And
she's still there. I see her.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to have all the ducks in a row now. But I have to do it right before we start. And so here I am last minute, like setting up all this stuff, literally the hour before we're going to go finally do it and go live. So I had to let go of all of that. But that's what gets me is like, even when in business, I create courses or PDFs or whatever. And it's like, it has to be perfect. And if someone corrects my spelling, I'll freak out. And it's because I'm too busy just putting it out there to go back and fix it.
Well, don't worry. That's what I do for you.
But we get so anal retentive about these things. So I'm always down to just go and create. For me, it's all that little detail that screws it all up for me. And so
that's the number one thing that hinders an artist of any kind is perfectionism and getting into that loop of just not letting it happen because it has to be just right. I mean, I have to laugh even when I was a photographer, when I first started out doing portrait. Now I was doing pictures since I was 17, but when I was doing portrait photography, whole new ball game. And when I closed my business, I had asked my clients for 15 years, said, hey, post some of your favorite pictures from the years. And I was always horrified for some of these pictures that came up. Of course, I mean, they loved them. It was their kids or whatever. And I kept thinking, oh my God, oh God, look at that background. What was I thinking? Or the lighting's off on here, because I'm constantly tweaking. You're evolving 24/7.
Oh my God.
As a person. So you can always go back. So it doesn't really make a difference. You just get it out there,
Well, and when you brought up the Claire's class, I was like, oh my God, that's so old. Like that was like new Johanna and new to bringing spirituality into her business. and I don't even offer that training anymore in that way, but I was like, and I used to go back and delete old blog posts when I evolved and transcended my opinion. And now I'm like, whatever, it shows that we grow. Like, why do we have to hide it?
I like to go back and look. I like to go back and look at stuff of how I've grown, or especially in art when it comes to that.
Yeah. But nobody wakes up one day and is perfect, whether you're an artist or a photographer, singer, channel, medium, whatever. You all start at some point and you evolve and grow over trust and practice and just getting comfortable in it. So we'll get super comfortable in this space too. And God only knows what will fly out of our mouths, and it's okay.
And we're going to be breaking down some fun stuff. I know the first one we did, we actually broke down a quiz, and I definitely want to do that again. Another quiz we'll have to pick out. But
we should break down that quiz. You got it?
I don't know if I still have that on there. That was a fun quiz.
Throwing her under the bus at this moment.
Yeah, probably not. That was like how many weeks ago that we did that?
Did you just get it off of one of those apps? That app,
the apps of which potato I was. I'm not quite sure. I have a tendency to get into these quizzes of, defining what I am. I absolutely love quizzes and anything that diagnoses you as something, because it's all perceptive, and you might be able to, because everything is energy, you might be, just depending on your mood, you might be entering something completely different the next day. Right. So I don't get hung up on them, but I do. It does make me laugh. I got to see if I can find it. It was funny.
Yeah.
We'll have to look for it. And now we have the circus. We should tell them the circus concept of what came about, of why we called it
circus. You're really good at the circus thing. I like to talk about Tom Petty, because that man, I have it out for him, and he likes to come to me. So.
Tom Petty sees her in her dreams.
Well, no, because I've been talking to my audience today. I talked to him on Instagram about people been having crazy ass dreams and I know I have, where they've been super heavy, and they give you these weird scenarios, whatever. We do a lot of healing in our dreams. I have a lot of precognition in my dreams. So back in the day, whenever we originally started this, I was starting to have some weird dreams, and we had talked about the radio show. I don't remember at what point the circus thing came about, but um, I remember seeing a visual of her and I like getting a photo shoot done. And this, so this is, mind you, this is a precognition. So this is me seeing the future. And, I don't often get timing, right? Time doesn't exist. And so they're like showing me this. So I'm telling her, I'm like, girl, like I was in this ridiculous outfit and you were in a tutu with these knee-high fluorescent socks, and I was like throwing glitter at you and you were pissed. She was like, I don't want to be here.
That would never happen, especially because you said the color pink and I went, oh no. That's not true.
I'm telling her about this dream, and I'm pretty sure at that point we had correlated it to the photo shoot for the radio show. And somehow or another, I forget how, but Tom Petty came in and I kept hearing his song and he kept playing the songs in his head, the breakdown. And we started talking about it. And she's like, you can't get that. You know how much it costs and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, and she's like, that's it. That's how you got me in the tutu. It was a bet.
Yeah. And here's the weird thing. What was it like? I think it was like maybe a month later, I had got a reading from a very close friend of mine. And she says to me, you're going to lose a bet. And I went, what? And she goes, you're going to lose a bet. She goes, like, it's a fun bet. It's not in there. And I went, mother. I was like, I know what that is. She goes, yeah, you lose a bet. And so I had text Johanna. I said, I'm not agreeing with that. I'm not going in that tutu that you want me to put me in. We're not getting that song.
It's coming. I actually did reach out to somebody about it, and I'm not going to go into the details here, but it's going to happen. It will happen. So in the meantime, we're using something else I purchased. It is purchased, by the way, but it is just background track. But tell everybody about the circus, because that is our email, guys. It's circus@breakdownlive.com. So it's a great place for you guys to send your ideas of what you want us to break down. And it's anything. So if it's something scientific, that's something woo-woo, galactic, angelic, channeling, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just send it to us and we'll look at it and contemplate it. So tell us about the circus.
So the circus concept came about. I was having, just to backtrack on this, I'm a firm believer of signs and aware of things that come in, whether it's, certain songs or images or numbers. I'm aware of things and I'm open to that being something. And I had, when I was meditating and so forth, I always listen to music afterwards and I kind of shuffle it. And usually it's like soothing music, and what I have it on shuffle. And every time I shuffled, these songs were coming up that had or entitled circus. Like, it was a ridiculous amount of them. I'm like, what is going on? Because I always put an intention in there and then I just let myself go when I meditate. So I don't, I just put the intention of something that I want and then I just let it go. I don't try to dissect anything because that's not the point of it. I just want to be in there with my higher self. So I was showing this all to Johanna, and at the time I was really obsessed with The Greatest Showman. Which is,
yes, you were
obsessed with it. I love The Greatest Showman. I'm sure you all do love that here. Y'all have to comment if you haven't seen it. You need to go see it. It's great. The music's great. It's got Hugh Jackman in it. Come on, ladies. Right. So anyway, I kept seeing a circus, and then Johanna at the time was saying, hey, I keep seeing us on stage and doing stuff. And I said, I don't understand why I keep seeing circus. And then I remembered I loved the circus as a kid. And one of the things I loved about the circus is when you had gone in, especially the old school vintage circuses, like, where they had the freak shows or the things that you weren't supposed to see. I was obsessed with that. I was kind of like the Ripley's Believe It or Not, like, complete. And by the way, that show is coming back. It's hosted by Bruce Campbell. Yeah, Bruce Campbell's hosting it. I'm so excited. Not to get off the subject, but anyway, it's coming back. So
I never watched the first one.
What? It's basically what our show's based off. Is bringing up the bizarre.
It's true.
So when I had said it, I said, I feel like this is what it is. Like everything is a circus that we need to be, to expand people's minds and show them things that are, they might not see, or they'll look in the internet and go, I don't know what this means. This is cuckoo. Um, or, hey, I don't really understand what that means from a spirituality point of view. And, we are, as much as we are soul sisters, we're very different in some certain perspectives. So, I fight a lot of like, that's not possible, or I'll bring things up, and not saying that I'm not open, because I'm always open to reading things and learning. But I do get to that point because of old programming going, yeah, right. Like, okay, you believe in that. But I am respectful of believing in a sense of what other people believe in, because, people put a lot of time and energy of things. Flat earth people, come on, we're fascinated with them.
We're totally going to talk to the flat earthers. Let me tell
We
you,
are.
I have to talk to these people, and not from this point of I want to convince them that the earth is round. I want to hear what they have to say. I really do.
Right.
I'm so curious as to their reasoning that I just want to be like, okay, let's hear it. I want to hear it.
I'm always open to hearing people who are passionate about something, because I kind of like have to tilt my head and be like, really, you're putting a lot of energy into this. This is insane, but okay, like, because that's our thinking. When we can't dissect something, it becomes the unbelievable, or the insane, or
I think it's when your ego can't open it. It can't wrap its hands around it and make logical sense of it, right?
Mhm.
So that's when some people just can't open their hand and say that's possible, right? They just get so close-fisted and closed-minded and freak
Mm.
out. So
Yeah, and the ego, it's funny because, most have the idea that, having an ego means you're egotistical,
right.
that it's, that, but it's not all about that. Ego is also, I mean, it's the
Ego's a
I,
big,
it's the everything of you, but it's everything that you believe you are.
yeah.
It's beliefs, it's everything. So, your fears, all of that comes a part of ego. It's not just the bad portion, and I, I would love to discuss a little bit on ego death, because that to me is also interesting, just because, the concept of ego death is just to completely let it go and dissolve it. And that is almost like you can't get rid of, you have to work with the ego. You have to realize and be aware it's there. It's not the point of
That's
saying it's completely gone.
right.
Your
And
ego is there for a reason.
this is where I differ from people who say like you can be a walking enlightenment, right? I have people that I follow, people that I know that say that they are a like living, walking, enlightened being where they haven't ascended, right? Meaning they haven't disappeared into thin air. They
Yeah.
haven't crossed over, they haven't died, but it's really hard to be in a body. And I understand that part of it, but I do not believe that in that moment your ego is completely gone either. I don't.
Yeah.
Because I feel like well, an ego is actually a good tool if used correctly.
Mm.
I really feel like it's a tool that can be used. I mean, and so, but it's again, discernment, boundaries. You have to learn how to use your tools like anything else. I mean, you're not going
Right.
to go pick up a jackhammer if you don't know how to use it. At least I would hope you would. And if you do, take a video of it so I can watch it. But you know what I mean, right? So we
Yeah.
have to learn to use these tools to serve us. And so I agree with you. I but we all have, it's crazy what people put out there in the world sometimes.
Or the idea of when we have our ego, it's there for survival mode. So
Yes.
it can tend to overprotect, and it's so subtle and long range that sometimes we don't even realize it's happening,
Mm-mm.
and that it's overprotecting us or hindering us from experiencing things, because no, that's not possible, because let's say you wanted to write a book, but no, I've never been an author before, I've never written anything, I can't do that. It's all of the things that come into play of you can't know, people are going to make fun of you.
Well,
All of those are based on beliefs. So that's part of what you are.
well, think about how primitive your body is and your mind is. I mean, an appendix was in our body to process bone because people used to eat bone. Our physical bodies have not evolved. So our brain, our ego is still, when you can't pay your mortgage or you don't think you can pay the book, it still thinks a lion's going to eat you. It doesn't know the damn difference. And so
Right.
that's the crazy thing. It went from survival to there's all these other masks that now take the place of those survival instincts. But I have to say this just because I like to keep things funny is every time you say ego, do you know what I see?
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy, Volume 2, the ego in the center of the damn planet.
Oh, yeah.
In the
Yeah.
center. Have you guys seen that movie? So every time, I love the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Groot. I'm a Groot's biggest fan. But every time you say ego, I see that brain in the center of the planet ego.
Right, right.
That's the visual I get every time.
That's a good description of it. There's an author, Michael Singer, that you and I are we're big fans of. There's a book called The Untethered Soul. If any of you are interested in learning about awareness and mindfulness and just getting to know what's going on in your head, he has a really good way of breaking that down. Because his way of breaking it down is so on par of what we are as humans, because he's not going over the top on spiritual or anything like that. He's saying these are the thoughts. And one of the things that I love about that book is he really honed in on just allowing. He's like, we have to just realize that these aren't making us. We are not defined by our ego. The voices that we hear in our head, you can say hi right now. You can say bye. You can talk to yourself in your head. That is not you. It is not defined as you. That was mind blowing for me. I was like, because I have so many different voices in my head that go on here, and you can have a zillion kind of conversations, but when you can step back and go, this is thoughts.
You can define, see, for me, I can tell which one is my higher self and which one is like a being or a guide or my dad. And I can tell which ones are ego. Now that didn't happen overnight. That took me being super aware and practicing what I preach and all that good stuff. But there are a lot of voices that we hear that are loud and repetitive and obnoxious. And those are not your friends. They just are not.
And I think it's important to bring up, because when most people, especially, when they see mediums, or, I know that I had a completely different concept of what a medium was when I was, do researching on. My thing was like, oh, they hear voices, like they actually hear stuff. It's your voice. You can hear your voice. It's the dialect or the tone of it that you can all of a sudden, identify that is not you. And that's really is key on there.
Yeah,
because
clairaudience.
Most people thinks it's like, hey, I just heard Elvis.
I'm waiting to hear this voice, and it's like, no. If you're clairaudient, you're still hearing your own voice. But what's funny is you will get now. Sometimes when I channel, I'll pop out an accent because I'm pulling through that person's personality. Right? I'm pulling through their essence. And so, yeah, you get the way they talk, their mannerisms, you get, the
Right.
way they would say something. So, I mean, but it's still your voice.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's big key, is that most people don't realize that what clairaudient is that they think that they're hearing, or they're expecting to hear, someone else's voice come to them. And that's what's, different. And when you can start realizing that and sitting with yourself, that was, is key in that level. If you want to, you have to be open to it, and realize
people,
that
wait. Some people are not open to this. Some people don't even realize they're an awakening. And one day they wake up, and all of a sudden they're hearing voices and they're like, WTF, turn it off. And I actually had a client that this happened to, or they would show up, and I remember, and you're going to know, don't say her name, but I know she would get up in the middle of the night, and she'd wake up in the middle of the night, and she was seeing, right? So she was seeing all these beings, And she said that she had left the light on. And I said, this isn't Motel 6. We're not leaving the
I
light
remember you
on
saying
for
that.
them. Turn that shit off.
I remember you had said to
Crazy.
her, yeah, I remember you had said, envision a theater and a close sign, and you're going to put that close sign up. Yeah, I remember you saying that to her.
But when she said she left the light on, I immediately got Motel 6 and I was like, we're not leaving the light on for him. Like, turn that shit out. But I love that you're talking about mediumship because I was so funny. I knew we were going to talk about this today. I want to blow people's mind with something for a second because we are all freaking mediums. And if you want to connect to a being or a loved one or an alien or whatever, you know, just whatever you want to connect to. Oh no. You first have to connect with your higher self. And just to connect with your higher self, when you can do that very consciously, you're a medium, right? Because you're bridging a gap between this dimension and another time and a higher consciousness. That's what our clairs are. I mean, that's what our clairaudient, or we can hear things, right? We can hear. It's just a higher level of senses, right? So like 3D to 5D, same thing. It's just a higher level. It's a heightened sense. That's it. And so people get so weirded out by it. But in reality, it's such a natural thing that we all do. Think about telepathy. Oh, how'd you know what I was thinking, right? Like
That's going to be our next episode, by the way, because
we're so telepathic.
Yeah, I found a couple of different exercises that we're going to do with everybody.
Oh, freaking awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to do that next week.
I love
we're going to read
each
other's minds and laugh about it.
It's so funny because, I before I even brought spirituality into my business and I would have these coaching sessions, people were like, how do you know all this stuff about me? And I'm like, I don't know. I was being telepathic. I was pulling it right from them or from their information. I just didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, whatever, this is what
it's part of being intuitive. It's having the intuition on there. And that's the hardest thing to describe to people, what, being an intuitive is. And it was hard for me to even grab the concept. I remember when I took your course and you were breaking down the clairs and you were like, well, you're claircognizant. I'm like, I don't know what that means. I just know stuff ahead of time, but I don't know why I know that. And you're like, that's claircognizant. I'm like, what? Okay. That's what I am then, I guess. I don't know. But I wasn't identifying myself with it.
Right. Yeah.
But I wasn't open to it either in that level. I wasn't completely closed down.
But we all have all of them. Like we all are super special people. Don't kid yourselves. Like we all have the ability to have all of those things. Tanya will try to deny most of her gifts, but I know I see what she's got over there. She's pretty nifty with her stuff. And her guides, God, if we could ever bring them through, they are hilarious. Before we go too far, I want to do this drawing because it's already 10 o'clock. See, we could talk.
Oh, that's right.
5 hours. It's ridiculous. We didn't even really get anywhere, but it's okay because that's what we're doing. We're just breaking stuff down.
Well, we were just giving an intro of what we're breaking down that's coming up.
Okay. So what I did was, for those who are listening later or don't know what I'm doing, I was trying to help us spread the word about our show. And there'll be more contests to come and more fun things that we're going to do because this show's all about the fun. From random city giant, what do we want to call them? Easter egg hunts?
Oh, no, that's what you wanted me to do and make me run around all of these things.
And this actually came from a friend of mine named Patty. Where you go to a city like Tanya's on location in Michigan. And guess what? She is hiding stuff and you have to go find it and you win a prize, things
Good
like
luck
that.
in Michigan finding anything.
Somewhere else. Maybe it's when we're in Tahiti or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But find something in the sky. Anyway, or fun memes or whatever. We'll come up with all kinds of fun stuff. But I am a medium. I am offering 2 30-minute sessions or one each. So one 30-minute session for 2 different people. And so for all the people who followed the directions, you have been entered. So we're going to start pulling some names right now.
Well, that sounds like a big bowl. People actually follow directions. It's amazing.
I know, right? Sometimes it's hard people. And sometimes people make it complicated. I tried to keep it simple. So if you aren't on here live, I will be messaging you or finding you. I will hunt you down and find you.
It sounds like The Taken. I will find you.
I was seeing him. All right, close my eyes. Here we go. Number 1. Lisa Kipperman. Lisa Kipperman, you are the winner. Come on down. You can't really come down, but that was fun to say.
Come on down. Price is Right style.
God, who else ditched school to watch Price is Right?
I love that show, and I always wanted to be on it just so I could say $1. I always want to be like, just get up there and be like $1.
One. I want to do that one. Okay, we got one more. Don't worry. Sky says it's only 8 here. Yeah, but we're trying to keep it around an hour show, but we knew we were going to go a little longer today. Okay.
Right.
Jennifer Melton. Jennifer Melton, you are the second winner. Come on down. You can't really come down, but it was fun to say. Yay.
So now you will have to hunt them down.
Yes, I'll have to hunt them down. I will hunt you down and find you. What does he say? I forget.
I will find you.
Oh, is that it?
That's the big line from that movie is I will find you.
Oh my God. So we want to hear from you. What do you want us to break down? So we got some cool stuff coming and I'm just going to share some stuff. So we'll have some random, like, what was the one we did? Are you a psychic quiz?
Yes. Yes. We're going to do the psychic quiz for sure.
Yeah. Was it last year? No, it was this year. I went to a mediumship conference and I got to meet a man from the UK, who's a physical medium who, has ectoplasm that comes out of him. I'm not going to give all the show away, but we're totally going to talk about this. We're totally going to talk about it. I might even be able to get him to come on the show. We'll see how this is. But we're going to talk about that because who doesn't want to talk about ectoplasm? I mean, come on.
We're going to have ecto coolers though. I told you. I got to find them.
Amazon does everything. Jennifer Mountain's on live. Yes. I really could come on down. She actually lives by
It's
me.
right there.
That's so funny.
Well, that worked out for her.
Right. I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
We were talking about what else was coming. The ectoplasm guy that you had mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, you guys, the first time Tanya and I met in person that weekend, we got some talking to do about that weekend.
That was a bizarre weekend.
It was.
That was a bizarre weekend. Yeah. We can
And
break that down.
I got sick after that one. So
you were super sick. You were super sick at my house.
Yeah. Well, I took some people home with me.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about that. But if you guys have things that in your spiritual world, maybe it's something that you've seen on YouTube, because, YouTube's got a variety to choose from that you would like us to break down, something you don't believe in, you're curious about. Believe it or not, I have experienced a lot of things in my life, and I might have something to say about it. I might not. But
I'll always have something to say about it, even if I haven't experienced it. So you're guaranteed to get some kind of snarky response from me.
I remember when I told her about the ectoplasm. What did you say?
Well, I was so confused. I thought you were like smearing something on your body. And I'm like, that's disgusting. You're not doing that. No, Johanna. I thought it was like hot yoga or something, like, yeah. Yeah, it was gross. I didn't want you to do that.
So funny. I want to do another contest just because I like them. So what kind of contest can we do?
We'll have a couple.
Yeah. I got to think of good ones. So every Thursday night, 9:30, unless otherwise stated, we will be here. And then what we're going to do is this is going to actually get rebroadcast on Sundays on the Charted Life TV network. They are gracious sponsors of our show, and they're going to be rebroadcasting us to all their viewers. I'll be sharing their channel with you guys so you guys can check them out as well. And then this will be edited as an audio only and go through the podcast system. So it'll end up being available on iTunes and Google and all of that stuff for you guys to download. And we're doing this for fun. So literally bring your A game, get ready to laugh, bring us some crazy cool topics that you want us to break down. We're ready and we are not afraid. Well, Tanya might be, but I'm not.
Be afraid, be very afraid.
Very afraid.
Hey, listen, I had gone through that fear base when you had said, no, I need to see you. We have to see each other. And I was like, no, it's a radio show. You don't have to see anybody. I can just talk in a mic. What are you talking about? Now I got to put makeup on. I have to like look at a camera. What is this shit?
Because see, we were always supposed to do it live.
Yeah. You just wanted that live on air sign.
I did. I really did. It's not the one I actually wanted though. And it's so funny. My family wanted me to get this to put above my office door so that when I am actually like live recording a transmission or a course, whatever, they know not to bother me and to be quiet. Right. And so I get it. And my daughter's like, that's not going to help me. I'm like, I'll get a door hanger for my door. This is a cool sign for the show. I just wanted the light up.
He just wanted the light up.
My husband likes lights, so he's gonna make it look prettier. Right now, it's not very pretty, but he's a smart one, and he's probably watching. So I'm gonna give him some props because the first time we got this, you couldn't read a damn thing the thing said. It was so bright, and he put some black felt behind it, and now we can see the letters. So props.
He's making it all happen for you.
He is. He's all about it. He's all about our show.
So next week we'll talk about what were we going to talk about? I forgot.
You want to talk about what happened at your house?
No, I don't want to talk about that quite yet.
Okay.
we will, because I wanted to do some research on a couple of things to bring on the table, and that's why. It's not because I'm fearful of it. I have some things that I wanted to look up history wise for that area that I kind of looked up when things first came out. So but we will definitely break that down.
I don't know. We'll surprise you. And if you guys have, like I said, if you guys have ideas, email us at it's not the circus. It's just circus@breakdownlive.com and we will respond, or you can just comment here and do us a favor. Share this this broadcast via YouTube, share it out with your friends, let them know to come and join us live every Thursday. We would really appreciate it because the more the merrier. Let's be real.
Yeah, and I can't wait when we start having our actual guests come on, because that will be fun to always have some additional people to give us their.
I have a few people that I'd like to.
Thank you for that. Telepathy is what we were going to talk about next week.
Oh yeah, telepathy. See,
I have a couple of different exercises. See, that's why we need moderators to tell us that we actually said.
Awesome. Next week, be prepared to do some work because we're going to have some telepathy exercises. I'm so freaking excited about this. You have no idea.
So I did this. I did an exercise with my girlfriend. I think she's on here, but one time she had come to my house and she's like, "What are all these index cards on your thing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to practice with my intuition and telepathy." And she's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it was like, like I think the name is Indian poker, where you take a card and put it on your head. So
I thought that was like Ellen's show where she does, what is that called?
The game we used to play was Indian poker. I don't even know if that's the correct term or if it's even appropriate nowadays. But anyway, you basically have a number, and if you hold it up to your head, it's, you're supposed to be able to guess that number that comes up. So her and I were sitting there doing this for like, we were just laughing. It was so silly. But she was just like, "Why do you even have these index cards?" And I'm like, "I sit here every night and just put index cards in my head to see if I pull the number for shits and giggles from 1 to 5.
Well, you can also do the matching game, right? So remember playing the matching game when you were a kid? I don't know if that's what it's called, but it was the matching game. You can do the same thing with index cards or, whatever.
The key thing to that is that usually our self or our ego will go in and second guess. So, let's say, think of a fruit, and we might want to, like, the first thing that might come up is orange, but we say apple instead because, that's
apple's what I got.
So like, that's like the one thing is like, do you second guess yourself or not? It's really just letting yourself relax and come through to what, what comes up. But it's always what I had found is there is a pattern to it that my second answer was always the correct one. So I would say the first thing and then I would do the second one. And it was because I wasn't quite listening to myself. And I saw a pattern of it when I was doing it. I was like, well, this is creepy. There's an actual pattern to this. Imagine if I was really relaxed and just allowed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
And to be in that state. So we'll play
I don't
around
know
with
how
that next week.
relaxed I'll be, but I'm down to try. Let's do it.
Yeah, it will be fun. We'll
Like
have
in
some.
Ghostbusters. The ectoplasm, if that's what you're talking about, yes, like in Ghostbusters. Fun fact, Dan Aykroyd, he was from a spiritualist family. And one of them, I believe one of the members, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but one of the members was a physical medium like this gentleman that I went and worked with in Boston. And this is how he found out about the ectoplasm. He knew about it. And so he actually used it in the movie Ghostbusters. This is where it came from. It came from a real life experience thing of this goo coming out. I call it a goo, but I guess that's what it could be, coming out of an actual person. So we'll have a whole episode on it. I have all kinds of notes, and his name's Scott Milligan. And so I'm hoping that maybe I can even convince him to come on live and talk to us about it and just have fun with it, not be all serious, but we'll see how that goes. But yes, like Ghostbusters. And so this is why we have to have ecto coolers, the green, remember the green high seas?
Yes.
So we have to find those. And I'm sure Amazon carries
They
them.
had them last year. They came out for an anniversary one. I bought them because
Oh, because of the Ghostbuster movie
Mhm.
coming out.
Yeah. So yeah, so I'm sure they're still out there. I can't imagine they taste that great.
No,
Especially someone who's been
show.
sugar-free for how many years at this point.
Right. Yeah, we may be a little high on sugar that night. All right, guys, we want to wrap it up.
Okay. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.